We will be discussing on the 10 Commandments of God as it is found in the book of Exodus chapter 20 verse 1 to verse 17. Exodus chapter 20 verse 3, it is written, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." That Jehovah, the eternal, self-existent, and created one, himself is the source and sustainer of all. Our God is the source and sustainer of all. He is alone entitled to supreme reverence and worship. In this first commandment, man is forbidden to give to any other object first place in his affection or his service. Whatever we cherish that tend to lessen our love for God or to interfere with the service due to him, of that we make God. That the first commandment, when God say, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," that it means whatever we cherish, whatever we do, that tends to interfere with the service or time due to him, we make it to be God. That is that time you are required to be in worship. That you are doing other issues and you think those issues are very important to you, than to dedicate that time for God. The commandments say that you make it to be God. But God command you, because he created you, that you shall have no other gods before him. That he should occupy the first place in your affection, the first place in your life, because you are his. You are the flock of his field. You are his by creation. You are his by redemption. That you shall have no other God before him. But one of the second commandments say, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them." That the second commandment forbids the worship of true God through image or similitudes. Many heathen nations claimed that their image were mere figure or symbol by which they worship God. But the second commandment of God from the book of Exodus forbid man to worship God by using image. God is alive and God is in heaven. He hears everything. Why? When you bow down to pray, God is there. He can hear. Don't use image or similitude to worship him. The Lord say, "I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God." God forbids the worship of him through image or similitude. The third commandment, God say, in the third commandment, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain." This commandment not only prohibits false oaths and common swearing, but it forbids the use of the name of God in light and careless manner, without regard of its awful significance. By thoughtless mentioning of the name in common conversation, by appeal to him in trivial matters, and by frequent and thoughtless repetition of his name, we dishonor him. Holy and reverenced is his name, is according to Psalm chapter 111, verse 9. All should meditate upon his majesty, his purity and holiness, that the heart may be impressed with the sense of his exalted character, and his own name should be uttered with reverence and solemnity. So, in the third commandment, God forbid man to use his name carelessly. We know we cannot use even the name of our parent or our honorable officials carelessly. We sometimes use to take the name and tell it once, not repeating it twice. Even when you read it from the Lord worship, that the prayer that Jesus our Father who art in heaven, and the name was not repeated and ever again, because the name was to be revered. The name of God is holy and pure. So this commandment forbids us from false oaths, common swearing, and also mentioning the name of God wherever we want. In Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 to 11, where is found the first commandment, it is written, remember the Sabbath day to keep it whole. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor servant, nor thy maid servant. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and sea and all that in them, and rested in the Sabbath day and the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. God in the first commandment reminds us to remember the Sabbath day and to keep it whole. God reminds us to take time with Him in 7 days, that the seventh day we should take time with Him. We should remember it, keep it. In that day we should remember that God created all things. Is a remembrance of the creation of God that was made for 6 days, and the Sabbath is the seventh day, as it is written in Genesis chapter 2, God used to rest. And also this day, there's one thing which is wonderful here. It say, thy son, thy daughter, thy maid servant, and thy man servant, all of them should rest. In this day, it reminds us that we are all equal. We are created by God, women and men, servant and those were the Lord's servant. All of them were created by God, and we are equal, and all of them should rest in this day. So the Sabbath was introduced from the creation that men should rest, and also the first commandment reminds us to work. That it say in 6 days, in 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. That in order to honor this commandment, we have to work in 6 days and obtain our needs, and on the Sabbath day we have to rest, because God rested and commanded us to rest. The first commandment say, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. That here parents are entitled to a degree of love and respect which is due to no other person. God Himself, who has placed upon them a responsibility for the soul committed to their charge, has ordained that during the year of life, parents shall stand in place of God in their children. Parents shall stand in the place of God for their children, because children in area of life used to trust their parent. That they should be respected. The fifth commandment requires children not only to yield respect, submission, and obedience to their parent, but also to give them love and tenderness, to lighten their cares, to guard their reputation, and to succor and comfort them in old age. It also enjoins respect to the ministers and rulers, and for all others to whom God has delegated authority. So this fifth commandment charge you as a child to honor, respect, and preserve the reputation of your parents. And also from this commandment that when the parents are old, we are required to comfort them in their old age. To disrespect the parent is like to disrespect God, especially when parents command you in light way. To disrespect their commandment and to disobey them is like to disrespect God Himself. So says the apostle about this commandment is a first commandment with promise to Israel, expecting soon to enter Canaan. It was a preach to the obedience, of a long life in that good land. So the sixth commandment says, thou shalt not kill. All act of injustice that tend to shorten life, the spirit of hatred and revenge, or indulgence of any passion that leads to injurious act toward others, or causes us even to wish them harm. For whosoever hates his brother is a murderer, according to Bible. A selfish neglect of caring for the need and suffering, all self-indulgence and unnecessary deprivation or excess labor that tend to injure health. All these are together or less degree violation of the sixth commandment. Though you cannot be judged by the court of this world that you have killed somebody, but you do certain activity which injure your health. You are drinking alcohol, which injure your kidney, injure your liver. You are smoking too much cigarette that injure your lungs, that make shorten your life. You are charged by this commandment that you are killing yourself. So the sixth commandment charge all action. Then when you hate somebody, this commandment tell you that you are killing him. You lack only opportunity to exercise, to show off what you plan to do for him. So this commandment forbids us from hatredness, revenge, or any action that tend to short life. The seventh commandment says, thou shalt not commit adultery. This commandment forbids not only act of impurity of adultery, but sensual thought and desire, or any practice that tend to excite them. Purity is demanded not only in outward life, but in the secret intent and the emotion of the heart. Christ, who taught the far-reaching obligation of the law of God, declared the evil thought or look to be true sin as unlawful deed. So this commandment require us to be faithful, and pure in our life, to be faithful and pure in our motives. So it forbids any sensual thought, and these people are tested and they desire to commit those adultery, but they lack opportunity. That if you aim to your heart that you need to commit something and lack of, because only I don't see that as an opportunity before God. The eighth commandment says, thou shalt not steal. What does it tell us? Both public and private sin are included in this prohibition. The eighth commandment condemns money stealing and slave dealing, and forbid wars of conquest. You decide to make war. One country decides to make war with another without reason. One person decides to make war so as to conquer one another and to make him a slave to him. So to make one another a slave to you, that is forbidden in this commandment. It condemns the theft and robbery. It demands strictly integrity in minute detail of the affair of life. It forbids overreaching in trade. You try to make too much profit than expected. So for instance, here in our country, some people try, you see a person go to a certain person to buy chicken and say, oh, this chicken, sometimes the market is not good at this time. Maybe I can buy it for 10,000 shillings. And he goes selling it for 40,000 shillings, from 10 to 40. Even transportation cost, it is about 4 times the price that he used to buy from. So that is overreaching in trade. It's forbidden in this commandment that you are stealing from that poor man to whom you go to buy that chicken. And it requires payment of just debt. So there are some people even, they are good to borrow some people money or some people property, but to pay, it is difficult for them, and they call themselves a Christian or they are God follower. So this commandment requires you to pay just debt and wages if you are an employer. It declares that every attempt to advantage oneself by ignorance, weakness, and the misfortune of another is registered as fraud in the book of heaven. This commandment forbids you from trying to advantage of yourself by ignorance of one another. You see somebody is ignorant and you try to advantage yourself by his ignorance, that this commandment say, do not steal. The 9th commandment says, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors. This is a wonderful commandment. The false speaking in any matter, every attempt or purpose to deceive our neighbor is included here. By a glance of the eye, motion of hand, an expression of countenance, and falsehood may be told as effectual as by words. Or intentional overstatement, every hint or insinuation calculated to convey an erroneous or exaggerated impression, even the statement of fact in such manner as to mislead, is falsehood. Here the commandment say, even the intention of fact, that you are telling the fact, but you want to mislead people, that is falsehood. For instance, there is a principle in Matthew 18, that if you see your friend or your neighbor has done something shameful, you have to go and tell him that the way you are going is not good. But instead of taking it to yours and preserving his or her reputation by going and telling him about what he is doing, you are going to announce it in the society that person you think he's a good person is a very bad person. I saw him doing this and this and this and this. That is condemned here as spreading falsehood. So it is a fact, but it's a falsehood because you attack the reputation of your friend. This precept forbids every effort to injure our neighbor reputation by misrepresentation or evil surmising, gossiping, by slander or tale-bearing. Even the intentional to suppress the truth by which injury may result to others is a violation of the 9th commandment. The 10th commandment, the last commandment, it says, thou shalt not covet the neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet the neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. The 10th commandment strikes at the very root of all sin, prohibiting the selfish desire from which spring all sinful act. He who, in obedience to God's law, refrain from indulging even a sinful desire for that which belongs to another, will not be guilty of an act of wrong towards the fellow creatures. So the commandment of God were there so as to keep the society safe. If you think commandment of God has no use today, just think by yourself, if those people, other people will come and steal your property, they will come and commit adultery to your wife, and they will come, your children will come and disrespect you, that will be things which you would not like to hear it. Keep the commandment. We are trying to keep our society safe. Thank you, my friend, for being with me and listening while we were reflecting from the 10th commandment. You can go and review by yourself from the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1, along with to verse 17. May God bless you. Thank you so much. Welcome again.